the life of a fisherman you wouldn't understand. Something you can't feel on dry land. Gotta get your arms way up in a cage and set the hook on smallmouth bass, and then you'll understand. Gotta get your hands on a Shimano reel and a G-Loom that's right. I bet you like what you feel. Step on a deck, give it the world. Hello, welcome to my world.
What's going on, all you Facebook Live and YouTube Live fishing freaks? Hope you guys are having an awesome Tuesday evening out there. Got a lot to talk about this week. A few derbies that have happened, boat issues and non-boat issues, and things that are coming up. And there's an awesome fishing derby this weekend. Not really a derby, but a fishing event for kids we'll talk about in just a second. It's been a crazy week. We got a lot of rain, and it's supposed to get even more. So JR got him, looks like an official Father's Day card there. It's official. Oh, it's uncle.
Yeah, great. Best uncle. There's 5-year-old. And then this one. So happy Father's Day to all of you fathers out there.
Like you're slacking the house. Tony, what's up, buddy? Thanks for joining this episode of On Another Line Live. If you're not, I'm sure you guys are just not joining us for the first time. If you are, you stumbled across one of the most mediocre fishing podcasts on the planet. We like to keep it sane, instead of insane in the membrane, insane in the brain. Who was that? Insane in the membrane. Is
that the no?
Maybe crisscross will make you jump.
Jump.
Anywho,
never a rap guy.
Boo, dude. 90s rap is like upper echelon. So anyway, it's grunge. Yeah, I mean, I like some Nirvana and things like that, but I think music, kind of died off in the 90s for everything, like country music, alternative, what you're talking about, rap. Some of this, this is crazy. I don't know. Long story short, but this weekend, let's talk about that really quickly before we get started talking about what's happening with us. This weekend is the first cast fishing seminar that is going to be held down at the Ironton Riverbank. So the Center Street Landing down there, if you don't know what I'm talking about or are not from our area, you should. It's fairly simplistic to find. But it is going to be, I'm trying to find this thing here. It's the first cast youth fishing seminar. You guys are not seeing this. It starts at 9:30 a.m. on Saturday at the Ironton Riverfront Park, which is at 111 South 1st Street, Ironton, Ohio. So if you find Center Street in Ironton and go all the way towards the river, you're going to run right into where we're at. With that being said, the reason I'm telling you about that is that this week, coming up this Saturday, as I mentioned, 9:30 to 11:30, a buddy of mine that I've met through fishing, actually through this event, his name is James Gordon. He is, he's one of those deals, and Tony said it was Cypress Hill. I think you're right. You're right. So he and a few other people, actually mainly just him, but through the Ohio DNR and a few other things that come up with different, they've come up with some decent things going on down there. But the biggest thing is that it's called a first cast fishing seminar for kids, obviously. James has done all the legwork, and he's got an awesome thing going on down there, and I'm just so glad that I get to be this much of a part of it. I just go down there and help kids bait up rods and put their bobbers on and stuff, and it's down on the Ohio Riverbank. But every kid that goes there up until a certain point, which we've never had too many kids show up, it's first come, first serve. But when the kids come there, whether they got 1 or 100 fishing rods at home or maybe none, they get a free fishing rod, and it's theirs to take home. That's through James Gordon, through the first cast fishing seminar, as well as the Ohio DNR and a few other people. Malone's Marine, who's a huge sponsor of our show, donated there. I talked to James the other day that I think Kleiber's Monument or Buckeye Monument down in Ironton has donated. There's a lot of people that are making this possible. But the deal is we go down there and let some kids do some fishing. If they're under 16 years old, they don't have to have a fishing license anyway. Bring them down. We're going to put a fishing rod and reel in their hands. We're going to show them how to tie a knot on a hook and put a bobber on there and put a night crawler or some other kind of bait on their fishing hook and let them do some fishing there at the Ohio Riverbank. The Ohio River is up and extremely muddy right now. Looks like we're going to get a pile of rain over the next couple of days, which is not going to be conducive for the fishing down there. But it's more about the environment and the camaraderie that James has built down there. It's a family-friendly environment. You can bring your family down there and take a look at it. Bring your kids. Bring somebody else's kids. Bring, somebody else's kids. I wouldn't recommend like stealing kids to bring them down there. That would get you in trouble probably. But bring some kids down, and even if not, come down and check it out. It's a really good deal. It's at 9:30 this Saturday at Center Street Landing in Ironton. It's an awesome deal for kids. And again, first come, first serve, free fishing rod and reel for those kids that are going to be a part of that. And it's free, which is the greatest thing about it. It's a free fishing weekend or free fishing day for the kids. Bring them down. We're going to again, put a fishing rod and reel in their hands. It has nothing to do with me, guys. I'm just there to help people out. It's James Gordon and a few other people in Ironton that are putting this thing on. So please don't think I have anything to do with negotiating anything here. That's not true. I'm just there to help them out. It starts at 9:30. Come on down a little early. Grab yourself your kid a fishing rod, and we'll get to doing some fishing. And whether we catch something or not, that's kind of the secondary point of this. We're trying to get some people involved in fishing, and let's face it, somebody had to get us started in fishing, and we might as well start that with somebody else. So 9:30 on Saturday down at the Ironton Riverbank at the Ironton Center Street Landing. It's going to be a good time. Hope to see y'all there.
Free. I mean, if it's free, it's for me, right, Tyler?
That's right. I wasn't paying attention to the screen. I don't know if this comment has already been put up. Metanium DC70. Come on, bro. Like, that is awesome. That's one of the bucket list reels that I don't own at this point. Gary Timberlake, what's up, my man? Nate Witt, what's happening, buddy? Nate, bring your kids down the Ironton Center Street, or your daughter down to the Center Street Landing. Do some fishing this Saturday. If you're not fishing anywhere, 9:30. I'm sure you just heard that. But I appreciate that, man. It means a lot. So, anywho, JR and I have been fishing quite a bit lately. I'll be honest with you. This has been one of the best fishing years as far as tournament wins and money that I've had for several years. I've fished 7 derbies in the last 3 weeks, and I have finished in the money in all but one of those, which is crazy. That is nuts. I won a tournament. I finished second 3 times. I finished third twice. And then I finished 5th once the other day with Marathon, which was 1 place out of the money, or 2 places out of the money. But I fished a tournament with Lewis County Lunkers this weekend, and it was an open tournament. Guys, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of clubs in our area. First off, we've had this conversation a million times talking about clubs, and there's not a bad club in our area. Everybody that has a club in this area are legit people. Lewis County Lunkers, I got to fish with them this past week. You have, Lawrence County Bass Club, which is Lawrence County, Ohio. You have Marathon Bass League, which anybody can join and fish. It just costs you like an extra $40, I think, to get in for dues if you don't work a marathon or not affiliated with a marathon. They fish like throughout the week on Thursdays normally, some Saturdays. And then, you have River Valley Bass Club, Pedro Bass Club. There's a bunch of bass clubs in our area, and I've never had a bad time at any of these tournaments. Like, there's, just certain bass clubs that I like to fish with more. And Lewis County Lunkers is one of those, because it's, I just feel like there are people just like me. They just love to fish, and they go there, and they fish with the equipment they got and the boats that they bring them in, and they go fishing, and then when it's done, then may the best person win, and they go home, and we're all buddies, and that's great stuff. So this past weekend we jumped in a Father's Day Derby open on Grayson, ended up putting in at the Bruin ramp, and I decided that I was going to go up and try to catch some fish, and ended up with a 5 fish limit, 4 unders, one over the limit. And the one over the limit was right at 3 pounds. Won me second place in big bass in that tournament. So hopefully we can continue that tear on. But it's been it's been really crazy. I feel like the cicadas are kind of dying off now. They're not near as loud as they were in the previous month. So that might have something to do with that. But the fact of the matter is, topwater has been on fire, boy.
Looks like Matt Robertson has joined us. Man, welcome.
What's up, Matt? Hey, buddy.
Thanks for coming down for Casting for Kids, man. That is really cool that you dedicated that time there. My buddy Tyler was talking about how cool you were, and how much he appreciated you coming down to Paintsville. So really, really cool of you, man.
Yeah, we had Matt on the show about 4 or 3 years ago. Love to have you back, Matt. So thanks for joining in, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, so I had a great time this weekend. We caught some fish. We were, catching dinks. The crazy thing about it is, and I feel like the kind of I don't know, the elephant in the room, if you will, is conservation of smaller bass. Now, I know Jason Kenner and his group, if you're not a member of that group, even if you're not from this area, it's like Anglers for Improving Opportunities, I believe is what the group is. But it's just about empowering and making people like us knowledgeable, or more knowledgeable, about properly maintaining fish habitat and fish populations. And I'll be the first to tell you that this, up until this year, I was strictly against keeping bass. I haven't caught and kept a bass that didn't die in my live well in probably 15 years. There's much better fish that I would much rather eat. Walleye being one, perch being another one. Crappie. There's several that are easier to catch than bass, in my opinion. And I was just kind of like that person that thought every bass needed to go back in the water. Well, now we're finding lakes like Grayson, Kentucky, which is absolutely overran with the amount of small fish. I mean, hundreds of thousands of these things, where you can go out and you can literally catch 50 fish a day throwing a wacky rig or something like that. So the deal is now conservation. And I'm trying to switch my mentality up here, that every time I go to Grayson, I have harvested my limit of under the slot limit bass. Now, if it's over the slot limit, if it's 15 inches or higher, I always turn those fish loose. But I'm talking like I keep bass from 4 inches to 11.5 inches regularly. There's not much to eat there, right? You know what I mean? Flay them up, but find some place to turn them loose. Turn them loose in a creek. Turn them loose in the tailwaters. Even if you just take them over the dam of Grayson and turn them loose in the tailwaters there to go down a Little Sandy, that's still a good deal. Strix Marine Plus in the house, which, by the way, guys, we'll just stop this information right here to talk about Strix Marine Plus really quickly. Aaron and Strix Marine Plus has been an absolute supporter of this show from day one. Matter of fact, one of the very first shows that we did, matter of fact, I think that's how Aaron and I met, was through this show. We were on live. We were just talking, hey, and he called me, or I called him, and he had a conversation with me. He's like, hey, man, I want to see people like you in our area, thrive. How can I support you? And he's always been supportive of me. So I want to mention a couple new products that he has out that I have been able to use in the last 3 weeks here. One of them is a brand new product, which is an optic and graph cleaner, OGC. It's something that you can clean your graphs with on your boat. You can clean your windshield on your boat, your sunglasses, stuff like that. I actually posted a video last week on my YouTube channel and Facebook showing me actually cleaning an extremely dirty 15-inch Humminbird Solix screen. Stuff works phenomenal. And another product he has available right now is Big Al Speed Shine, which is a boat. It's almost like a speed wax, if you will. Something to keep your boat nice and shiny in between those washes, and give it a nice wax coat after you wash it. It makes my boat super, super slick, and it looks fantabulous. The Optic and Graph Cleaner OGC, you have to pick that up at strixmarineplus.com, or you can get the Big Al Speed Shine from there as well. But they do have the Big Al Speed Shine at Border Sporting Goods if you'd like to stop there and check that out.
Good evening.
What's happening, Rob? Yeah. So Gary, I believe you're talking about the first responders tournament. So we'll let JR talk a little bit about that, and we'll get back into what I was talking about, the conservation side of things.
Yeah, the first responders tournament was a blast. Brian Davidson had a absolute awesome first rate tournament set up, and I always have fun with those marathon guys. They're great guys, good camaraderie, and I don't know. It's always I don't know. I kind of have like a weird sense about it because a lot of people don't consider doctors first responders. So for Brian to consider me into that group, I mean, I always feel like we should give the veterans everything we have, but for somebody to have a first responder tournament was really good. The fishing was brutal at Yatesville, for lack of a better term, but we still had a good time, and gosh, they had so many things, baits and kayaks. There was this huge firework that they raffled off, and it was just really cool to see everybody. And there was a lot of boats, so a lot of good people, and we had a good time, and everybody was safe, and can't ask for more.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I think Brian and Marathon Bass League does an awesome job when it comes to that tournament and all the tournaments they've ran. JR and I have fished several. They're just like Thursday night tournaments over the last few months here. JR and Jared actually won one at Yatesville a few months ago. They've run a lot of cool tournaments. I like that they fish on Thursdays most of the evening, so it allows me to get that in there.
Boats, wow.
And the first responders tournament, JR and I fished it last year. It was brutally tough that day too. We ended up catching one fish for like 2.5 pounds and ended up winning, or it was like 2 pounds. We ended up winning like $650 or something on a 2-pound fish, which is crazy.
Did we win that or come in second? Somebody was
third place. We came in third place and won that kind of cash. No, it was third place. But it's always a good deal. And so in this tournament there was no forward facing sonar. You couldn't use live or like active target or any kind of like 360 or anything like that, which I think is good. It kind of evens the playing field.
I kept count of how many times that I tried to use it knowing that it wasn't hooked up. The number
you look down at it, you're like, oh yeah. No, so I mean this past weekend, going back to the Grayson tournament, the Father's Day tournament that I ended up finishing second and have a big bass in, I felt kind of dirty, to be honest with you, because I actually caught that 3-pound fish on forward-facing sonar. Like, it's the first time that I've ever really, locked a sonar minnow in my hand for an absurd amount of time looking for a kicker fish. I don't know. Again, I've caught fish on live scope just tooling around. I see one, I cast at it and catch it. That happens maybe half the time if you see a fish, if you're lucky. But I had 5 dink fish. I'm talking I probably had 3 pounds, if that, in 5 fish. They were all I had one that was right at 12 inches. I mean, it was 11 and 11, 15, 16. So it was it was the one time in my life I was think small. So he did make it, and that was the biggest fish that I had under. The rest of them were 4 to 8 inches long. So I had 3 pound and 5 fish, which is nuts. But so I was I'm not going to win this tournament by doing what I'm doing now. Everybody's going to have 5 dink fish. It's just, it's not that they're easy to catch there. It's just there's so many of them that it's pretty tough not to catch them. So I was 5 dink fish. It's going to be like a crapshoot. Somebody's going to find one over and win this whole tournament with 1 fish. So I put every rod up in my locker except for an 852S NRX Plus with my X Sense on it, and I tied on an 1/8 ounce jig head, just a round lead ball head, and my favorite scoping head right now is a Jackal Drift Fry. the thing absolutely catches fish. If you get it by a fish, they will eat it. It's just the way that it goes. I really love that thing. So I spent the last 2 hours of the tournament in anywhere from 20 to 40 foot of water at Grayson. And the craziest thing about it is I did learn something the other day that was really powerful for me to understand. That lake just absolutely gets brutalized with the amount of people that fish it. But one thing that it was allowing me to do with that forward-facing sonar that I wouldn't have done normally is I was looking in open water for fish, which, again, you can't do without forward-facing sonar unless you're just casting into the freaking abyss. But I was finding most of the fish, the bigger fish that I could see, were in 40-plus foot of water, but they were suspended like less than 10 foot from the top of the water.
Jeez. Yeah, it's cool what you learn. I mean, that's one thing that it is hard to take the time just to stare and learn from them. But geez Louise, I mean, it is cool to see how they react to your bait. You change color. I saw that Zona had an episode on his show of him talking about forward-facing sonar, and I was like, man, this is Humminbird really pushing to try to get people to buy into it, because he's just, he's a power guy. Even saying that, of course he fishes a lot of smallmouth stuff, but even with a spinning rod, he is more power than he is anything else. I mean, he's a big tube guy and things like that, but man, you learn a lot.
But one thing that forward-facing sonar does for you, even as a person like Zona, is it drives views to your channel. It drives views to that, because, and the weird thing about it is trust me, guys, I understand totally when you come from, and that's what is so frustrating for me as a content creator, and I'm trying to create these videos that people want to watch, because eventually I like my YouTube channel to get big enough to where I don't have to work anymore. Well, is that going to happen? Probably not, because this winter, my YouTube channel grew by leaps and bounds. I had like 800 subscribers in 1 month. So I was like, wow, I finally caught a little bit of a break. And since then I've had like 70. So it's just like up and down motion. But the deal is that, like, I know if I'm fishing a larger derby, like a BFL or even a Toyota Series or something like that, if you're at a place where people are scoping more often than not, if you look at the last Elite Series event there at, or not the last one, but the one that was at Lake Fork, like that was won by scoping in one of the biggest bass factories in America. So if you're not using it, you're at a severe disadvantage. Well, I understand you folks out there, and myself included, hate watching that on live TV or produce content. So, it's really tough for me as a content creator to try to find a happy medium where I can, catch the fish in these tournaments, but also learn and help you guys try to catch some fish too. And one of the things that I mentioned before I wish I'd have went with the Garmin GPS map or whatever it is, the one that actually will allow you to live stream to your phone and you can record your screen from there. I hate the fact that the Ultra that I have right now will record. I think it'll record the screen to the graph, but you can't export it or anything like that, which is kind of a pain. That's one regret I have, because I could put the screen up and show you guys what I'm seeing. But my goal is to try to create some content that doesn't involve forward-facing sonar. But I understand that if I'm in a tournament and people are scoping around me, I have no choice to use it to try to find those fish that those guys are going to inherently catch.
I didn't realize how much I use it just for looking at underwater structure and things like that. I mean, when I was sitting there counting, how many times I tried to use it and it was disconnected, obviously, I was like, oh my gosh, how often do I use this for, determining how far back does that tree go? How many stumps are here? Do I see any fish on this bank? Should I fish it at all? That kind of thing. And it's for that. I mean, I enjoy it for that. And I've had it for, such a long time at this point that I feel like I can't really stand to fish without it, which, certainly there's times where you don't use it at all, but it is definitely nice to have.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like, if we hit rewind and go back to the Yatesville tournament that I won last month with Pedro, I had forward-facing sonar and I never used it one time. Right, it was on my boat. but I was catching fish how I like to catch fish. I was throwing a KVD rodent, like a Strike King KVD rodent, with a 1/4 ounce tungsten pegged weight with a 4/0 Gamakatsu straight shank worm hook, or offset shank worm hook, and I was just catching fish, man. I was pitching where I thought fish were being, where they would be, and they were there. And A squared plus B squared equals C squared, and I was triangulating those things back into my boat, and it just all went well. You know what I mean? But as it gets hotter, the water temperature gets hotter. These fish are going to move offshore. They have more pressure on them in the banks. More people are fishing. I see more people out on the water in my local lakes than I ever have since COVID, which is a great thing, and it's a terrible thing in certain aspects. One of those is the fact that the fish are getting absolutely more pressure than they ever did. I can stress that back to COVID, when the only thing that you were allowed to do was fish or go outdoors. I see all this crap about no kings and all this stuff. Well, they told us that we couldn't go anywhere. So, that's what I don't understand about all this stuff. But, we could go fishing. So take, for example, Misty and I went on a Wednesday at like noon to Yatesville, right when they shut the world down, told us we couldn't do anything but go outside. We went fishing, and there must have been 200 boat trailers in Yatesville parking lot. And I had never seen fishing like that ever in my life. I mean, in every cove or every creek you pulled up in, there was boats everywhere, which is great. I love to see people out on the water. But since then, I don't think the fishing pressure has got any less, but the amount of fish that are being stocked into the lakes have not got any more either. So that's why I was talking about a second ago. I think we have to do a better job as like stewards of the sport, trying to understand what we can do to try to benefit the bigger bass in the populations of these areas, so we can sustain the population of the bass for not only ourselves but people to come in the future. This first cast youth seminar down in Ironton could potentially get a new generation of kids fishing. And if things don't change very soon, I feel like that we're going to be looking at a desolate population of bass. And we're in Ohio here, where I'm at, is the armpit of America for bass fishing anyhow. So I don't see how it can get any worse, but if it does, we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, and I'm glad that there's people like Jason Kenner that are really supporting that and trying to move it forward. And like it or not, it's making difference. I mean, Paintsville is now getting F1s. They've been stocking, with threadfin shad, and it is talked about way more now. And then that's just going to spread. They're going to get F1s, and then how much better will that get in the next 5 years? I think it's going to make a huge difference. I mean, it seems to me already that Paintsville has a lot more, good sized bags coming out of it than it ever did. Not that I paid much attention to it before, but I certainly hope that, this ideal of conservation and, giving back to the fishermen just continues to multiply. And ultimately, I mean, that's why me and Tyler are here.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think Jason and those guys, and it's not just Jason, but I think he's kind of like spearheading this, I don't know, I guess this movement in the area here, especially with Paintsville. You're right. I do believe that they're seeing some fruits of their labor, and they've been stocking like threadfin shad for like 4 years, I think, in there, and like it's taking like 20-pound bags to win some days, and they're having like 3 tournaments a week, and it's taking like 15 plus bags every day that they fish. And I think it does make a huge difference, and I think that the F1s coming to Paintsville and getting closer here is not only going to drive bass fishing, to a better point, but it's also going to drive the economy to a better point. Because look at Lake Fork. Look at how many people travel to Lake Fork from all over the country to fish for a potential lifetime size bass. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I went there this year. I will definitely go back. It's just an awesome fishery. The average size bass there's like 3 pounds. Like it's a great fishery. But like if you imagine turning Paintsville or Yatesville or something like that into, smaller, little Lake Fork, where it's every year there's a 10-pounder caught out of there, or 2 10-pounders, or the state record is caught out of there. Like, what does it do for the economy? Well, I can tell you what it's going to do for the economy. it's going to bring people from all over the world. Well, maybe not all over the world to here, but within a couple hundred miles, people will be coming to Paintsville and Yatesville to fish. Now look at how that kind of, stimulates the economy. Well, first off, it takes fuel to get there and fuel to run your boat in that lake. So there's one thing. Campsites, hotel rooms. There's another way. Restaurants in the area, caterers, people that are guiding on these lakes. There's literally, the tax dollars are going to be funneling into these counties just for the simple fact that they have now understood that the F1 bass species can't really hurt anything. And even if it doesn't help anything, at least they're actually trying to do something now, which I think is something that Kentucky has going on that Ohio, in my opinion, and I hate to talk bad about my own state, but we're not doing such a great job here in Ohio. It seems like they put a bunch of stuff in Lake Erie. They do a lot of conservation at Lake Erie, but they stock fish species that make zero sense to me. Like they stock, last time I looked at at the stocking page, like they stocked muskie in lakes and creeks and things, like, which I think is a great deal. There's a lot of people that muskie fish, but I can guarantee you it's about probably 99% bass fishing and one person that's out there throwing giant baits for muskie. I could be wrong, but it's weird how they funnel their money in and their aspect in Ohio. But I will say at Grayson, the reason I say that I think Kentucky DNR is doing a great job is that I was out there last week, just fishing, doing some fun fishing, and I had my limit of small fish in my live well, and I saw a electrofishing boat out there, two of them actually, and I thought they were doing a krill survey, and it turns out they were doing electrofishing, as I mentioned last week, where they had their the tentacles that are in the water that shock fish to the top of the water, and if it wasn't a fish that was above the slot limit, they put them in a tank, let them revive, put them back in the lake. If it was under the slot limit, they took them out of there. They put them in a live tank. I don't know what they did with them. I didn't ask them. I'm sure they're turning them loose in another pond or somewhere else. I mean, I'm sure they're not killing them. It would be dumb for them to do that. But it's nice to see them like trying to do something different, which is a good deal. And it's weird to say that I fish a lot of lakes around Ohio, and I don't think, other than seeing a game board in there, Mr. Green Jeans to check my fishing license or whatever, which I'm okay with. I've bought my fishing license, but other than that, they stock trout in some lakes around here, which die, after a couple months, or people catch them and eat them, which is great. But it really doesn't do anything to sustain the population of the bass we're trying to catch.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of places just don't realize what it is that brings the money into the state. A state like our tri-state area, Southern Ohio, I'll put Southern Ohio on there, Kentucky and West Virginia. I mean, there's not big things for bringing people into our state anymore. So, maybe we make a Lake Fork out of a lake here, in West Virginia. Maybe East Lynn becomes our Lake Fork or something. Yatesville becomes our, basically Big Fish Lake, and people come from all around. I mean, that's something that they don't look at or don't have enough vision to see, which I think it's possible. I really do. We've got we've got enough size, and then we've also got the all of the structure that fish need to live on. But
yeah, for sure. Really quickly, one quick note. This episode is brought to you by Hannah Sublett, insurance broker, protecting your health, securing your future. 740-456-7944. If you're interested in health or life insurance, and you're in our tri-state area, or I guess if you're not really in our area, but if you're from Kentucky, West Virginia, or Ohio, she has a license that she can sell you. She has a license to sell you insurance in all three of those states, and she is one of those insurance brokers that's not affiliated with like State Farm or Allstate or anything like that. She basically shops your information around to try to find the best rates that you have. So if you're looking for health or life insurance, make sure you reach out to Hannah Sublett in the area. Again, her cell phone number is 740-456-7944. Tony, I will be going back to Lake Fork as well. I didn't get to fish it long enough. It fishes way different than any lake I've ever been to. I mentioned on the show before, if you go to Lake Fork and you're taking your own boat, if you don't have the boat lanes on a chip card, buy one before you get there, before you put your boat in the water, before you make your first cast. Make sure you have a graph that has the boat lanes clearly marked on the screen on GPS, or you're going to turn your long shaft trolling motor, your long shaft motor into a short shaft racing engine pretty quick, and you won't have a lower unit, or even worse, you get killed because there are stumps and trees. It seems like farther you get up the lake, you get 10 foot out of the boat lanes, and then you're in a timber field. It's pretty crazy. So if you're going to be there, make sure you be careful and look up something that has the boat lanes on it. The Humminbird Lake Master chip, if you have Humminbird, if you have that one that's down in that area, it does have it.
Well, I am getting ready to go to St. Clair in 8 days, and I am so excited about it. So, Marathon is having a tournament up there. I'm going to head up Wednesday, and the tournament's actually Saturday and Sunday. So, I think hopefully Gary, you're going too. I know you fish with Marathon. So that's something I'm really excited about. I don't know if any of you other guys have any big trips coming up. Most of us start heading north here when it hits June and sometimes May, certainly July, but hopefully you guys have some good trips. But if you do, tell us about them. Let us know where you're going. That way we can start researching the lakes you're going to too, so we can learn from you.
For sure, Tony. I met a guy down at Lake Fork. Unless you already have a dude in mind or a female, there's a bunch of female guys down there too. But shoot me a message on Facebook. I can give you a guy's name. It's FOB Lake Fork, Forward Operating Base Lake Fork. The guy, I did not take him personally out as a guide, but the dude, I can tell you one thing that most guides on most lakes I've ever been to, seeing like charter captains and all that stuff, they have a set amount of hours. Like you start at 6 o'clock in the morning, you're done by noon, 1 o'clock. You go out for 6 hours, whether you catch them or don't. That's, just kind of is what it is. This dude, Greg Hill is his name. I can vouch for the days that I was there, which is 4 days. He had guide trips every day. So he's going to be one of those deals where if you're looking for a guide, you probably should get on that soon. But I can get you some information, get you hooked up with him. But he fished from daylight till like 5, 6 o'clock with all of his clients every day. So you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. He caught some absolute hammer bass. Showed me some giants. Nice guy. If you look for a place to stay, he has an Airbnb right next to his house, so you literally can stay in his Airbnb, walk out of there, walk to his dock, get on his boat, and go fishing. It's FOB Lake Fork, and again, no affiliation. I didn't take him out as a guide. He has a really nice skeeter boat. But he was a super nice guy, seemed knowledgeable about the lake, and had caught many bass that were over 10 pounds. So if you're looking for somebody, I'd definitely check them out. Key West.
Yeah, lots of good fishing down there. Shoot, man.
Let's face it, man. You're in Key West, you drink a beer, you aren't fishing.
You do a little bit of both, but man, that is a big fishing spot. Shoot, those fish you can definitely eat. They are delicious.
For sure. Yes, sir. Man. There we go. He said both. That's what I'm talking about. Lake Eufaula, the one in Oklahoma or the one in Alabama?
Okay, Alabama, right?
Well, there's two of them. Like I said, there's one in Alabama and one in Oklahoma. I think there's two.
Yeah, I still want to. I'm excited to make it back down to
Bama.
E-chain too. Shoot, man.
So we're talking about trips coming up. You guys obviously know I got a goal to catch a bass in all 50 states. That's been said numerous times. If you don't know, now you know. Matter of fact, I'm in the process of building a big giant flag here to be behind me that I can put all the states that I check off behind me. Just something I've been wanting to do for a while. I'm working on making that right now. But I checked off. So I'm over the halfway point right now. I think I have 27 states checked off, which is more than I ever thought I would, to be honest with you. checked off Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and Louisiana this year already in a big giant trip that I took in April. But I'm going to drive to Illinois, and we talked about it a few weeks ago, and some people said Rend Lake, I think, was a good place. And then I've been looking at Newton Lake, but I've done some research today. I'm not going to be able to fish Newton, I don't guess, because it's like a 9-9 lake only, so I'd have to idle around. It's a pretty big lake, so I'm not really interested in that, I don't think. But my deal is that I've checked off 5 states this year. I'd like to check off a 6th one, and again, I'll be going to Utah for work here in the fall, so I'll be able to check that state off hopefully. But I'm going to drive out to Illinois, and I'm going to find a campground, and I'm going to throw my truck bed tent up in the back of my truck and take you guys along for the ride on the YouTube channel, and just go out and try to catch a fish in Illinois for a couple days. I've been doing a lot of research today on YouTube. Man, there seems like there's some freaking lakes in Illinois that just absolutely hold them. Like one guy had a 25-pound bag at a lake in Illinois.
I'll take it. Shoot.
Braidwood Lake. I'll have to check it out, man. Let me look at where that's at. Thinking that's like...
Yeah, Tony, I honestly, I think, when I talked about like getting a guide, I felt like I was so anti it now. And then now that, I've gone to my fair share of new lakes and new water, I always feel like, man, getting a guide to just kind of show you around the first day or first couple days to, orient you to the lake and, put you on some patterns. It just saves you a ton of time. And I know it's a lot of money up front, but I mean, these guys, they're not, other than the Josh Joneses of the world, they're not making a ton of money. So I feel like it's money well spent, and the time that you save is worth it.
Yeah. So I saw the other day that the Kyle Hall kid that's been fishing with, Josh Jones. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure he posted the other day it's $2,500 a day to go out fishing with him. The Kyle Hall kid. I couldn't imagine what it's cost to fish with. Crazy. Mill Creek Lake. So Tony, I just looked at that Braidwood. Looks like it's just a big square. I guess it's a cooling pond, I guess. So I have to check that out. Larry says Mill Creek Lake. Let me see where that's at. Not sure. Mill Creek I'm looking at 2 different ones. The only Mill Creek I see is in Western Kentucky, and then there's one in, I guess that's it. The one I'm finding here. But I'm going to do that. Of course, the Illinois River runs right through there, so you can go put it in there. That Braidwood Lake is pretty good jump from my house, it looks like. Let's see what the from my location there, 7 hours. I was looking at like southern Illinois, and there's like a couple lakes down there in southern Illinois, like Rend Lake is one I looked at. That's like from, let's see here. It's 6 hours and 2 minutes to Rend Lake there, which is at the southern, almost directly east of where I'm at. I don't know. I think next year's trip is going to be like in the summertime. I want to go to like Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, North and South Dakota. But the big, man, when you get out North, South Dakota, like the amount of arid space that there are between lakes, like it'd have to be a 2-week trip to go there that far, no doubt.
Big sky country, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh man, I bet Minnesota would be really cool to fish. They've got such sweet smallmouth fisheries. Like
Marshall, Illinois. Let me check that out.
What's up? I think Tyler's headed up to St. Clair, if I'm not mistaken, here in a little over a week.
Cody, I'm home, man. I'm in Southern Ohio in Ironton, but I'm thinking about going to Illinois here in a week or so, taking a 2 or 3 day camping trip, going there to try to catch one. Crab Orchard Lake, Southern Illinois is a good place. Crab Orchard. It's a little farther than Rend Lake. It looks like that's probably. Oh, it's right. It's right next to Rend Lake, so I guess I could hit them both. There's several lakes in there. There's Little Grassy Lake, Devil's Kitchen Lake. That sounds like right up my alley. Devil's Kitchen and Little Grassy Lake. Do you think there's really grass in Little Grassy Lake? See, there's all kind of lakes in that area right there. Cedar Lake. That might be the spot. Kincaid Lake. There's like within like an hour, I don't know, 45 minutes of that dot that I just dropped. There's a bunch of them. Lake of Egypt. There's all kind of freaking lakes in that area right there.
Tyler, gotta get some sunscreen, buddy. Gotta get some sunscreen. You were young. I don't want you to get some melanoma. Shoot.
Sank a tracker. That is not good. Yeah, dude. Like, I have. I mean, you can see like I do have a little bit of the old coon eyes going on from my solar bats, but I try to stay hidden from the sun anymore. Like, I don't want to have skin cancer. I'd like to be out there fishing as long as I can. I don't want half of my ear being cut off. So, the hooded sun shirts are a freaking godsend anymore. Holy crap! I don't think I ever fished without one.
Yeah, I'm the same. Nowadays, it's just I've known so many people to have skin cancer or at least precancerous things taken off. And I mean, gosh, take it from the tactical bassin guy. I mean, he had melanoma, I believe it was, and he had to have surgery on something on his face and ended up being melanoma. That's crazy.
Yeah, I got a giant housefly flying around here. I don't know where he came from.
I know. I keep seeing it, and I'm just like, need to get your.
I need to get some chopsticks out.
Yeah. Brent Jones in the house.
Trying to find
Brent Jones going up to St. Clair next week.
Good time.
Have us a big party up there.
Yep, I might end up there. Who knows? Just a quick non-sponsored plug here. If I can find the there we go. That's what I'm looking for. A buddy of mine, Mark Hickey, from the Kentucky area, has a apparel company called Apex Fishing Apparel. I will share my screen here and show you what he's got going on. Again, not sponsored. I think I have a promo code on here. I can't remember what it is. Waller 10 maybe. I don't know, but does have some hoodies here that are available. They make a really good product. Again, this is a lot of stuff, men's and women's. Get them any size you want. They do have hoods. Really nice material. I own several of them. They're really cool. So if you're looking for something like that, keep your Body Safe, non-sponsored deal there. They just Mark's been a buddy of mine for a while. Actually, matter of fact, look at that. Look back there. Look at that ugly dude back there.
Nerd.
That's crazy. I didn't know I was on
They made the did they make those shirts that we had made that for the 1 year, or am I forgetting? No, we were going to make the shirts that we were going to have, but
yeah, no, we were going to yeah, we were going to do the Hooked at Heart ones, and then the folks at the UK said, "Nah, we're probably not going to let you use our artwork."
Yeah, let's not do that. But yeah, cancer's no good. Everybody knows that. Stay away.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're about that 50-minute mark. I appreciate you guys sticking around with us for this episode of On Another Line Live. It's been an absolute tear. I do have a video that's coming out tomorrow at 8 a.m. on the channel of JR and I fishing and catching 3 or 4 fish at Grayson before my motor decided it wanted to jack up another injector. So if that's something new to you, I was looking at having to buy a new motor, and I'm still going to do that eventually. I'm just going to try to limp my motor along until I can save some more dough. Because I don't know if you guys have ever priced a 250 Pro XS Mercury, but they are astronomically expensive. Like, you're looking at 25 grand getting them installed, which is absolutely crazy. Like, I know why boats cost that much, because the motor's half of it seems like. But anyway, I had an injector go out. I've replaced so many injectors on my boat, I can dang near do it blindfolded, and I had 2 extra, so I put it on there, recalibrated the EMM. That was last Thursday, because I fished with Marathon down on the river the day that I put that injector in. So it's back on the river for a while, back on the water. I'm going to keep my boat and repower. One, for the simple fact, I've never really had a ton of problems with my boat. Injectors have had some issues with it, but I think that's with all boats. But I don't want to I don't want to be that person that, God forbid, a month after somebody buys my boat for $25,000, that they are like, "Oh my God, I just bought a piece of crap," when it's really not that way. It's just, kind of how the world works. Yep. So Carl, that's what I'm looking at there. Chris at Malone's Marine in Ironton gave me similar to a pro staff deal. He's making very little money off from it. It's a great deal, in my opinion. So I'm gonna try to buy it there first, obviously, because I want to spend my money locally. But Duck River is definitely somewhere I'm checking out, because they're selling motors like they had an in-house discount the other day for like $19,700 for a freaking 250 Pro XS. That is crazy.
Brent says, "Get you a Yamaha."
Yamaha's like $3,000 extra. I'll just keep my $3,000 and buy $3,000 worth of tools. Yamahas I think they're all, man. There's no outboard motor on the planet that's going to last forever, especially as much as I fish. I've put 300 hours on my boat since I've owned it, which is not a lot because I'm normally fishing with everybody else, but it's just one of those deals. I enjoy it. I'm going to keep fishing. So, look for that. Again, got a new video coming out of a Grayson tournament. And, tomorrow I'm going to have a video day 5 or day 6 of the trip coming out on Thursday. I have a video review of the Gill Meridian X rain suit that I'm wearing right now. That's absolutely phenomenal, guys. They have an Apex Pro suit, and to be honest with you, I'm glad that I don't have the Apex Pro because of the price differential. Like that Meridian X suit, I don't know how you would want anything more. I'm sure there's some other advantages, obviously, the Apex Pro has, or they wouldn't have that. I don't have an Apex Pro, so I can't actually talk about that. But, the Meridian X suit that I have is freaking awesome. I love it. For what it is, I mean, it's not cheap. Don't get me wrong. Like, no rain suit's cheap, but it's like their second notch down from the top one, or like right below the top level of their rain suits. Love it. It's awesome. I finally got to wear it this past weekend because it was raining. Kept me dry. The Velcro on it is really hard to pull. That was one of the things that Michelle, the brand manager for Gill, told me that, you're going to want to be like ginger with that stuff. And she said it's really not necessary. Like, you don't want to just like Superman it off either, but it takes some force to get it off. And she said some people are kind of leery about buying the products because they take so much force to get that off there. But when it's windy and rainy and cold, you'll definitely want it. They do sell that stuff at Border Sporting Goods. I posted a video today on actually on YouTube and Facebook about the Apex or the Meridian X jacket that I wore. If you're interested in that. If you're not first, you're last, I guess. Dang it, Ricky! I was high when I said that.
I need to watch that movie again, man. Like that and Step Brothers are like the two most quoted movies ever.
Yeah, Forrest Gump's in there too. But anyway, it's going to be a good time. Got a bunch of videos coming out. I do have a new video series that I'm going to be starting here either tomorrow or the next day. I'm going to be putting a video together. My neighbor down here has a 17-foot bass tracker that's been sitting in his yard for a better part of 8 years, and nobody's touched it. It was his father-in-law's boat. His father-in-law and his mother-in-law, passed away. Obviously it's always tragically when that happens, but it was kind of like, end of life scenario. Well, they didn't get the boat transferred over until they just now recently found the bill of sale. So they're now able to get a title for this boat finally. So I'm actually going to bring it up to my house. I'm going to clean it all up, check all the stuff like wheel bearings, change the lower unit oil in it, check for the impeller. Has a 70 horsepower Yamaha hammer on it. It's a really cool, pretty good looking boat for what it is. It's been sitting in these yard down there for 8 years and no one's touched it. And needs a new battery. It has the gas cans you can take in and out just like any other small boat like that. So I'm going to put some new fuel in it. I'm going to try to reach out to some of the sponsors that I have with battery power and trying to see what we can do there. But if you guys like stuff like that, renovating stuff like boats and things like that, I'm going to try to go out and catch a fish after I get it up to date, gets title, get all the title stuff done so we can actually get it, get license on it and all that stuff. But that's coming out. So I think people like to watch that, myself included. So I'm going to try to create a video series about renovating this 17-foot bass tracker. So we'll see you guys next week. Check out the YouTube channel for some more content. We'll probably see you guys on the water before next week. So you guys can get out there and lean on them. We'll see you next time on Another Line.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of On Another Line Live. We truly appreciate your support, and we couldn't do it without all the amazing folks at home watching week after week. A big thank you goes out to our sponsors who help make this show possible. Malone's Marine, Border Sporting Goods, Solar Bat Sunglasses, Picasso Lures, Shimano, and Columbia Sportswear. Their partnership allows us to keep bringing you the content you love. We'll see you next time on Another Line. Until then, get out there and lean on them.